Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is morning. I think it's still morning. Yes, it's still morning by a long way, Kayleigh. What is wrong with you? Anyway, hello. Welcome to Magpie Moonchild. My name is Kayleigh, as I've already said. And this is a deck comparison between various versions of the Animal Spirit deck. I did the Wild Unknown Tarot deck and the 4 versions that I have of that. So I decided to do it with the Animal Spirit ones as well. So I have the original indie deck here. I have the mass market that I've had for about 6 years, 7 years, something like that. And then we have the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit Travel Pocket Tin deck and guidebook. And as you can see, it's way more holographic and it's metal, whereas these are cardboard. So obviously the first thing you'll see is they all have a very similar, the dragon eye on there. This one doesn't have the iridescence. It does have, obviously it's an indie. I bought this secondhand, so there is some marks on it that I don't want to take anything to it to clean it off necessarily. So let's have a look at the back. Obviously the tin has the symbols down there, and as does this. Now this came in a book, a box set, a toolbox set that had the guidebook in it as well. This has a sheet that comes in the original one. This has a guidebook that comes with it. If you're buying this deck and it doesn't have a guidebook with it, and it's not a second-hand one with the 2-part box, you've probably bought a counterfeit. And this has a guidebook within the tin. So they do come with guides. It's just which version you have and what it comes with. As you can see, the back of the indie is very different to the back of the Harper one, mass-produced one, because it has this gorgeous artwork on the back. Now, obviously I said it comes in a 2-part box. This one came with the sheet, and you can have a look at that on its unboxing video. So the mass market has, what does it have inside them? It has the same lines inside both of them. So let's open up the tin as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out the tin. As you can see, this one, it probably has some dings in it because it lives in my backpack. It comes everywhere with me. And obviously it has the thing that came with it. I don't bin anything that comes with the decks. I'm terrible. And this does have a small version of the full guidebook within the pocket tin. So as long as you bought the genuine one, we're all good. We're all amazing. Now what I realise is I don't have these in a similar order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in order and then I will come back and show you. Okay, the pocket one wasn't sorted. The other 2 were. So, sorry about that. So we have the bear. Now, as you can see across them, although there is ever such slight colour changes between the indie, it's more a tone than anything else. This one's more yellowy than this one, but the tone is ever so different. It's the same on the pocket to mass market. So on the bear one, it is the same. I'm going to have to pop them on that one. Okay, as we're going. Let's bring that here so I can clear light. There we go. Earthworm, again, same image. Ever so slightly different tone in the artwork between the versions. Although this one, I would say, sits between the 2. So this one is actually more bluey than the indie. Than this one on the mass-produced. Let's see. So mouse, again, same image, same colours, same tones, not any difference. I do wonder if there has been any changes in this deck. Let's see. We have the rabbit. Again, the additions are all the same image, same colours. Let's see. There we go. So raccoon, again, it feels the same. Perhaps a bit more refined and detailed in the original edition. This one looks very more, ever so slightly, though. This one feels like a copied image. This feels more refined of the original. Sorry. The ribbons are also different, by the way. This is a dark grey soft satin, and this is more of a cheaper plasticky ribbon. Still satin, but more of a cheapy feel to it. On the mass market. Fox. Again, this feels more like it's the original image. This feels like a copied image, if that makes sense. This feels more scratchy, less defined. But that does work in its favour as you go down to the pocket edition, because it makes it feel like the original image again. Snake, the same image again. I don't know if any of them have actually been changed. Ah, okay. So as we come into Buffalo, this is a lot paler. You can see there's a lot more definition in the original indie edition than there is in the mass market. It's more blue. It's a lot paler pink. And by taking it down to a smaller image, it's made it feel more of the original colour. So actually, although this came out before this has gone back to the original edition, indie edition kind of colours. I really like that. I always love the lamb because it has like this God's eye kind of image in the back. And you can see the tones are ever so slightly different. This one actually probably feels better in the mass market. It feels more full of colour. The lamb actually feels like it has more detail, even though it doesn't, if that makes sense. And then obviously we have the pocket edition in the middle, which again is the same colours and everything. Elk, I would say it's actually quite similar on both. On all the editions, it's probably the same image, same colouring. I don't really see a lot of difference. This one feels like it's fine, slightly finer lines. This feels like it's more wider lines, but only ever so slightly. It's very much like it's copied over. To, you know, when you photocopy something, it just feels like it has a slightly different graininess to the line, and that's what's going on there. Deer is the same across them, as far as I can see. Wolf, again, they look the same to me across the editions. Spider, same thing. Sorry if you are triggered by a spider. It's an animal one. It's going to have a spider. Most decks that have animals in have spiders. Horse, again the same. Although it perhaps feels a bit more intense in the orange in these two than it does in the mass produced. Crocodile feels the same. Stingray, they just feel a bit more intense in the indie. The colours, they just feel a bit more full on this part. But again, same colours. I don't think any of the images have been changed colourways or anything like that, like they did when they did the pocket tarot, or the tarot moved over to mass market. Fish is the same. Starfish is the same across the board. Octopus, again, they feel the same. They don't, perhaps the orange is a bit darker on this one, but other than that, it doesn't feel any different. Beaver actually feels paler in the pocket, perhaps a bit more intense in the green colourway on this one, but other than that, it's the same image, same colours. It's just really, you know, where the colours have printed. Oyster, this one feels like it has a more colourful background. This feels darker, ever so slightly. This feels like a richer black colour to it. And I would say this one is more like the mass market than it is the indie for tones. But other than that, it's the same image. The original indie feels much more intense than the other two. I'm not going to lie. This one feels like this one condensed, but because it's condensed, it feels more, but it's not as intense and warm as this turtle in the original indie deck. Frog, I would say we're pretty much the same, perhaps slightly paler on the purples at the bottom. But other than that, it feels like the same card. Otter, it feels paler already in this mass market edition. It feels paler a little bit. It feels more in line with the indie with the pocket edition. Shark. I love this image, but it always feels like I don't know whether that should be red when it's coloured in. It's really weird. It's like, I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it would give more or less if it wasn't red. I don't know. This is the card that always leaves me feeling like, why do I feel like that about this card? Anyway, they are the same across the board for the both mass market, the indie and the pocket editions. Swan, beautiful. It's a beautiful image. And actually the colours feel about the same saturations. They feel really good. They feel the same in all the editions. Dolphin. Dolphin, I would say this one is a paler grey. It's more of a reddy grey. This is more of a, this feels browner. This feels like a reddy grey, and this one feels more like a bluey green grey. They are ever so slightly different in tone, the greys. I would say the colours in the background though, they do feel very similar, perhaps a bit more intense in the orange on this one, but they do feel very similar. It's only the dolphins, the greys, that feel different. So as we go into the whale, this feels more blue. This is more blue than that one, and this one feels more pink. Even though they are very similar, they are the same colours and design. I don't think any of these have been changed, I'll be honest. Fire ant, same across the board, I would say. Even down to the quality of the ants, their legs and all those kinds of details. We're going to go into hyena. This one feels richer, a richer black. Although this one feels more like contrast between the black and the white. This one feels like it's a copy of this one, if I had to pick between the feel of the black. Scorpion. They all feel very similar. This feels more towards the mass market. This feels like a richer yellow. It feels more like a fire yellow, whereas this feels more like a lemon yellow, if that makes sense. But again, same image. Lizard, they feel the same. The orange feels a bit more intense in this one. The pink feels more corally pink rather than a pale baby pink on this side. This one is somewhere in between the two. Panther. They feel pretty similar across the board, I'm not going to lie. Same kind of colour blacks. And tarantula. This yellow feels more powerful, more warm. This feels like a very more orange than yellow. It doesn't feel like the yellow has such a pop to it in the pocket edition, but it's the same image. Camel. They feel similar. This feels more like a blue. These have more like a greeny blue to them. The black feels more purple on this one, whereas it's like a black, richer black on the indie edition. Gazelle, I'm not going to lie, it feels the same across all of them. This feels ever so much a little bit browner though than the other two. But the black part of it feels browner in the pocket edition for some reason. Cheetah, it feels the same. I really love that it does as well for some reason. Tiger, this feels more like a reddy orange around the fire. The oranges feel ever so slightly different. The backgrounds feel very similar though. Actually, no, this feels, there's more colour depth to this. This one feels paler. It's almost like this was it, and then this spent a day in the sun, and it just feels that little bit paler and smokier across the top, and it feels like the pocket edition followed the mass market in that sense. We then have the cobra, and they feel very similar actually. They all feel similar. As the zebra actually. Zebra feels perhaps a little bit paler in the mass market and pocket edition, but it took a moment to see it. Lion, they just feel more yellowy rich on the indie, but again, same image, same colours. Elephant, it feels the same across the board, even the blacks actually. Perhaps slightly greyer on the pocket. So moth. Actually feels richer on the mass market, I'm not going to lie. It feels like the green is richer and denser. It does feel like the pocket has gone more towards the indie on this one, which is interesting. Yeah, but again, same image. Butterfly, as you can see, you can probably see this, the greys are different. This is more like a yellowy grey. It's picked up the yellow tones more. In the so the indie is paler. There's a richness of the yellow kind of colour to the butterfly in the background. And I would actually say it's gone even more black and white grayscale on the pocket. So there are actually 3 different greys again. I don't know how they've managed to do 3 different greys on all these, that and the shark. But I actually prefer the indie, although I do like the richness of the mass. So bat feels the same across the board, I'm not going to lie. Firefly, now there does feel a difference. This feels paler, this one feels richer, and it feels like they've took the richer of the two to make the pocket because it feels much more intense than the mass market on this one. So this feels more like reddy orange. This feels like a golden yellow, and this feels like more like a lemon yellow. B. It feels richer on the mass market, and it feels like they took the indie image into the pocket. Hummingbird. I actually think the pocket wins this one. That sounds really weird. This one is paler. This is more intense, but I actually think it being smaller and more condensed actually does it a favour in the pocket. Let's see what we have for Vulture. Pretty much the same. This feels more like a reddy smoke in the background on the pinky, and this one is reddy in the background. That smokiness. Crow is pretty much the same. The purple feels pinker and richer, and the colour is a bit more intense on this one. It's a richer kind of colour. Owl, it's the same across the board pretty much. Dragonfly, I would say very similar across the board. Nightingale, this has more greeny mint to it. This is more blue, and they've gone more with the indie colourway into the pocket. Peacock, I actually prefer the indie in this, and again the pocket has probably, actually I might prefer the pocket because it's got that more intense peacocky blue. This feels more sea green kind of colour than a peacock blue. Hawk, pretty much similar across the board, perhaps a little bit more yellowy on the pocket. Eagle, this feels more like a greeny yellow, but again, similar image. Phoenix feels the same. Now, the indies don't have the foiling on the, or the holographic foiling on the cards. They have like a matte kind of sheen. But other than that, they feel the same colours. They just feel the same colours. Sea Serpent. This is more green. This is more blue, and that's somewhere in the middle. Dragon. This feels richer. This feels more Jamaican kind of red, yellow, green, whereas this feels, I don't know, it feels subtler. And the pocket one feels somewhere below, more subtle than the indie. Golden Egg feels the same. It probably feels most gold in the middle in the pocket edition. Black Egg, this actually feels like it's had a pink wash over it, if that makes sense. This feels more like a true black on this, and the pocket edition seems to have taken the indie. Okay, Unicorn, it feels the same across it, perhaps a bit paler on the mass market. And finally, the Cosmic Egg. And I'm not going to lie, that kind of feels the same, perhaps a bit more intense and rich on the mass market. So there you go. That is the comparison between the indie, the pocket tin, and the mass market editions of the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit. Hopefully it has been helpful for you, and hopefully I will see you again soon. Feel free to comment down below. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.